Yo, what is up guys? It is Bumfris, back with a little bit more Entitled Parents. This one is an absolute banger, and I know you're gonna love this one. To be honest with you, I reckon I've picked out some of the best stories I've seen in a while, so make sure to smash that like button and make sure to leave a comment if you enjoy the stories. Otherwise though, once you've liked the video for your 1500 Bumfris points, sit back, relax, and get annoyed at some Entitled Parents. So this one happened during my neighborhood's fireworks display. All of the neighborhood families generally get together and have a huge fireworks night in the summer. A lot of money is spent on this, and it's not exactly a small town. We all look forward to this every year, and everyone who goes will contribute some money or bring some fireworks to contribute. My brother is the one responsible for the event. He brings everything down to the park, gets everything set up, and then runs the show. He doesn't live with my parents anymore, but still comes back every year to run it because he loves it. As soon as it gets dark, all of the families start to arrive and set up their lawn chairs, etc. I noticed that Entitled Mum and her kids have arrived, even though no one invited them. I was just hoping there would not be any trouble, but apparently, I'm just not that lucky. As soon as the fireworks start, her youngest child starts to freak the heck out. The screams of this child were constant and almost as loud as the fireworks. This kid is young, so I'm not surprised that she was scared by the noise. Entitled Mum doesn't even seem to care or try to comfort the child. She just keeps playing on her phone and ignores the child. Two of her other kids then start to run up on the field to where the fireworks are being lit. To help my brother and avoid anyone getting hurt, I get up and run to stop them from doing this. I brought them over to the Entitled Mum and told her to please control her children as it's dangerous to go on the field. The Entitled Mum completely ignores me and continues playing on her phone. The kids ran up to the field 4 more times throughout the night. I had to continue to get them off each time as Entitled Mum did nothing. All of the entitled kids during the night just made the night a complete nightmare. They would take sparklers and snacks right out of other children's hands, pushed and hurt the other children when they tried to get their stuff back, and many of the other parents had to intervene and protect the other kids. They tried talking to the Entitled Mum, but she continued to do nothing and ignore anyone who tried to talk to her. This distracted me and everyone else so much that no one noticed what her oldest son was doing. He had taken a few of the Roman candles from the boxes and had snuck away with them. He managed to also get his hands on an extra lighter. He went to the opposite end of the park near the houses and proceeded to light 3 at the same time. By some miracle, he didn't get hurt as he was smart enough to at least have them facing away from his body. When we noticed, everyone went running to try and stop him, but no one was able to get to him fast enough before the unthinkable happened. He obviously wasn't in control of the firework, and this resulted in a nearby neighbor's house, deck, and a tree catching on fire. The police and fire department were immediately called. This time, the Entitled Mum didn't ignore what was happening, and she quickly grabbed all of her children and ran back to her house. There was a great deal of confusion at this point, and everyone was in a complete panic. Soon, the fire was put out and everything started to settle down. The neighbor's house and deck had some pretty nasty fire damage. The police questioned everyone at the site and we all gave the exact same story about what had happened. Upon hearing this, the police immediately went to talk to the Entitled Mum. When the Entitled Mum came out, she claimed that she and her family were never even there. She told the police that we were all liars and we were out to get her. This was quickly proven to be a lie as many of my neighbors had been taking photos and videos while at the park. In many of the photos, you can clearly see the Entitled Mum and her kids. The Entitled Mum and her oldest were then escorted into a police car and taken away. The other kids were taken away by protection services. I found out later that the Entitled Mum is being charged with child abuse, property damage, and possession of illegal drugs. Her case has not come to trial, so I don't have all the details right now, but it turns out the Entitled Mum is a heavy drug user. She was tested at the police station when they found her to be behaving oddly and it was discovered in her system. A warrant was obtained for her house and a lot of illegal drugs were found. Now all of her children are in the care of CPS and she is in a prison awaiting trial. As far as I'm concerned, there's 2 types of entitled parents. There's the entitled parents who are just stupid but they don't put anyone else in danger. And then there's the entitled parents who care so little about the people around them that they're willing to risk other people's lives just for the heck of it. Like look, if you want to do dumb things and you're not putting anyone else in any kind of danger, so be it, right? But if you're putting anyone else in any kind of danger whatsoever, then you have a serious problem. Like these types of entitled parents are the ones that I truly cannot stand. When it comes to something like this, you gotta learn to control your kids or someone's just gonna get hurt. So one of my aunts had kids about the same time that I did. We lived near her for a while, but stopped getting our kids together because her oldest kid was extremely entitled. Her daughter could be a responsible human being, but my aunt did her best to make her son the most entitled child on the planet. I swear she thought she was competing for the most entitled mum and who can make the most entitled child awards. As a result of her actions, her kids were horribly behaved in public. One day we were over for some relative's birthday, and my aunt started talking about how horrible the church is being about her kids. In about 10 seconds, the entire backyard full of adults is dead silent. My aunt was furious because the priest asked her to come to the church office earlier in the week. My aunt was taking her oldest child to mass with her because at 4 he was old enough. Their particular parish had a cry room where children who were too small to sit still and be quiet during mass are able to sit with their parents. Of course, her child had no need for the cry room, so she insisted that they sit in the second pew so that he can have a good view. I honestly could not figure out what he needed a view of, but I only spent 6 years in Catholic school, so what did I know? It seems that her son would not sit in the pew. He stood on it. He yelled things at the priest at various times. He got out into the aisle and laid down with a race car making loud vroom vroom noises. He wandered up and got up to the altar and tried to grab the entire plate of communion wafers. When people were lined up for communion, he stood next to the line with the wine and tried to jostle people's arms so the wine would spill. Overall, he behaved exactly the way you do not behave during mass. When my aunt was called in to talk to the priest, she was sure that he was going to praise her for raising such a wonderful, perfect child. I saw the look between two of the great aunts when she told us this during the party. It was sheer disbelief that she could ever think this. The nerve of the priest to criticize her son or her parenting. My aunt told us that the priest clearly needed to not be at the church and that he needed to retire to a quieter parish because he cannot tell the good children from the bad ones. Keep in mind that this priest was only 35 at the time. She was incredibly insulted that he thought that she should teach her children not to behave like a hooligan in church. Her son was perfect. Then she said the line that made me not have my kids around her any longer. If God wanted my kids to behave a certain way in church, he would make them. He clearly wanted my perfect son to talk to everyone and to answer the questions that the priest asked. God is all-powerful and he will make my entitled son sit still if that is what he wants. Of course we didn't sit in the cry room. Entitled son adds so much to the service, and everyone should have the privilege of spending mass with my entitled son. Even her mostly obnoxious husband was stunned at that statement. The party ended shortly thereafter. Those of us who had kids really didn't want them to pick up bad habits from entitled son. The older relatives all left with excuses of early mornings the next day. The entitled aunt and the entitled son wondered why nobody showed up for the entitled son's birthday. It seems we all sent gifts and our regards because we had some crisis or others that kept us from being there. The next time her son was at mass was during his first year at Catholic school. One of the teachers had to sit right next to him so that he would behave with some semblance of appropriate behavior. You know what? By standards of entitled parents, this one was actually pretty tame, especially when it comes to some of these church stories because boy, they can be the worst. Like, there are some great church people out there, but some of the most intense entitled parent stories we've read have taken place at church. I don't know what it is, but sometimes it just brings the most entitled side of people. I don't know. Maybe people feel like they've got something to prove to one another rather than just trying to be good people for the sake of being good people, but who knows. Firstly, I think it's a stupid idea for bathrooms to combine accessible toilets and change tables in the same stall. So I live near a pretty huge mall and the bathrooms are pretty busy. I get into one of those long lines and wait for one of the two accessible stalls. There is this mum who is the entitled mum with two small children, entitled kid 1 and entitled kid 2, right behind me. Both children seem to be 3 or 4 and are very noisy. They badger their mother the entire time they're in the lineup with, "I need to go" and "I'm bored." The smallest one even touches my sleeve tattoo a couple of times. I don't mind this because it is just flowers, and this happens often that children like my drawings on my arms. Their entitled mum though doesn't tell them to stop poking people, getting in other people's way who are leaving, or pulling paper towels out from the dispensers and onto the floor. She basically just let them run amok. So I just wait and I ignore them. I use a cane for mobility and use braces on various parts of my body. I feel like this because my disability isn't invisible. Nor should anyone ever have to question why they use a specific toilet, visible or not. Finally, after ignoring the children yelling for what seemed like forever, I got to my stall. But once I got there and about to close the door, the entitled mum stops me from closing it. As she stops the door, she says to me, "I need the change table." And I just tell her that I'll be out in a minute and she tells me to use another stall. I say, excuse me, I need the accessible one, thanks. And her response was, you only have a cane, and my kid has wet herself. You don't need our bathroom. At this point, the two children are actually inside the stall behind me. I've never actually been told that I don't need accessibility before, and I wasn't about to fight a woman in a crowded restroom. So I just stood outside the stall and waited for her and her kids to finish. It's also worth noting that she left a massive mess in there, and didn't thank me or even make any eye contact when she left the stall. As unlike me as this is, I'm almost completely lost for words with this one. Like, this person had a cane, like they were very clearly visibly disabled is what they're saying. And despite this, you still push them out of the stall that they need to use. And this type of story, like not this type of entitled parent, but this type of story where there is absolutely no justice done whatsoever, just irks me so bad. Like, these people need to be called out on their horrible behavior, or they're just never going to change. But I mean, look, let's be honest. They're entitled parents. What are the odds of them changing anyway? My story starts on a fine day like normal. I'm a manager at a Subway. And every day, we usually get at least one annoying person, and it's just part of the job. But on this particular day, May 3rd, it was my birthday, and I was serving an older gentleman. We finished up and he left. Then comes an entitled parent and entitled kid. Now, I don't use my name tag since I hate when people are like, thanks Mario. When she walked in, she is already mad. Her kid had apparently just lost an important game of soccer. Now, we have this new jalapeno bread that we were out of. We started with the kid and he got something normal, but the mum was the problem as she ordered the jalapeno bread. I told her, ma'am, I'm sorry, but we're out of that. And she says back to me, can't you make more? And I tell her that we don't get a shipment until tomorrow, and I say, no, sorry, we can't. And she just starts freaking out, yelling curse words at me. She seemingly gives in and says, fine, I'll get the Italian bread. We finish up the order, I ring her up, and she gets mad when I notice her kid trying to hide a bag of chips, and I ring it up. She's then like, we are getting this food for free, right? I say, no, why would you get it for free? And she just goes on about how the jalapeno bread wasn't there and crap like that. She then tells me that she knows the manager of this place, and I tell her to go ahead and call him. She faked a phone call and says, he said to give us the food for free or you're fired. I say to her, I wonder how he said that if I'm the manager. I would like to see that look on her face again. It was so red, like a tomato. She didn't say anything, she just passed cash and got the change and left. I was laughing as she left, and she turned around and gave me the finger. To this day, I still laugh about it. Man, you guys knew after that last one, I had to finish off on a note that at least left you guys with a little bit of satisfaction at somebody getting back at an entitled parent. But for real, you can't tell me that didn't give you just a little bit of satisfaction when he said that he was the manager, because I tell you, it made me happier than it should have. Alright everyone, that is going to wrap things up for today's episode of Entitled Parents. I just want to start off this outro by saying thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Just so you guys are aware, I have had a pretty good recommendation to do more videos kind of like r/Tinder or more photo based ones, because it seems like a lot of you guys want to see them. So one day this week, I'm thinking most likely Thursday, I'll pop out a video of something like r/Tinder like I said, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. As I mentioned, a lot of you guys have requested those types of things, so I'm sure you guys will, but it's not something that I've really done very much of in the past. But I do have some really awesome ideas as to how I'm going to run it, so you guys must make sure you keep an eye out for it, because I promise you will enjoy it. But yeah, otherwise I don't want to keep this outro too long. I know that I tend to drag these out, so I will just about wrap things up there. I do want to say though, if you did enjoy this video, I thought the stories were awesome. So please do me a favor and make sure to smash the like button. I love every single one of you that do that, and even the ones that don't. Man, you guys know that I love you, so I can't even use that as a cop-out to get myself a couple of extra free likes. But hey, like I said, if you enjoyed it, that's the thing that matters. So if you did, please make sure to reflect that with a like. I would appreciate that. Anyway, enough is enough. I hope you're all having a fantastic day, or I hope you have a fantastic day ahead of you. For those of you that are new around here, don't forget to smash the subscribe button as well, and I will see you guys either tomorrow for some Entitled Parents, or hopefully on Thursday for a little bit of r/Tinder. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.